welcome back, folks, for another Halo review, episode 6 time. Terrell and I here to break it all down. Episode 6 is titled Solace, which perfectly fitting for all things that encountered this episode. We got a lot to talk about this episode. I thought this was a fantastic episode.
Oh yeah.
I know some folks ain't gonna like it, but I really was digging this one.
It's not no action, bro.
I know.
Hate, bro.
That ain't what the Lord did. All this other stuff. Quan Ha is not in it. And I'm mad. If all the episodes they didn't want her in it, now she's not in it. They probably gonna be mad about that. But anyway,
not my Halo, but whatever.
Let's kind of set the table here. Master Chief is sick from the Keystone. Halsey has been lying her ass off all this time, and she's gonna have to answer to everybody. Everybody got questions for her. Maki now is being interrogated. Everybody's suspicious of her. You know, there's like, okay, you've been hanging with the Covenant, and all of a sudden, coincidentally, you just here and all this other stuff, and some testing alongside of that. Cortana, we get to see her being pushed to her limits. Master Chief had to get some answers of his own on that. And what a very unique and shall I say perfect fitting ending of this episode, as we get to see two patrons. We'll come back to who they are on the Halo ring, and that is interesting to come. I love that aesthetic. Anybody's playing Halo Infinite, I don't know if I've even said it, but I've been really impressed by its effects, the visuals and whatnot, and this was like one, if not another one of the most beautiful scenes in this series. That last shot on this episode. But anyway, let's go down through the order of events. What shall I say before we get into it? What you thought about this episode, man?
Oh yeah, man, it was really good episode. Like you said, we get to see Master Chief kind of push them to the limits here, man, and everybody. It's a lot of different interrogation scenes throughout the show. Like I said, despite not having action, man, I really enjoyed it, especially getting a little bit more information into a lot of the backgrounds and just some of the personality, a little bit more of the personalities of the characters too, and what they're willing to do under stressful situations. So
that's entirely true.
Good.
Yeah, love the drama. I mean, and that's what television should be. Should have drama. Should have action. Should be a combination of all of that. But more importantly, it's the characters that we want. If you're going to have a series, we want to see proper character development, and that's what this is doing. You're going to want to see in the series like this, you want to see how one may hold themselves down on a combat field. But now we want to kind of see their mindset before then, after then. I mean, Kai is a prime example of like, well, you got what you want, but did you really want it? As it looks like she could be potentially suffering from some form of PTSD or whatnot, but we'll get to that. But yeah, Chief, as I said, starting off this episode, is feeling the after effects with his interactions with the artifact, the Keystone, whatever you want to call it. And he has all steam ahead because he has questions for Halsey, and he said, "You've been lying to me my whole past." And folks in the comments from last week talking about the Lord did this and this and that with the Spartan program. All you had to do was wait one episode, folks, and it was addressed. It was addressed because he wanted to know exactly what had happened to those documents and those files, what exactly happened to him in his childhood. How did he get where he's at now? And she had to answer it all, and he was not going for it. He said, "Listen, I ain't fucking with that.
Not today.
Not today." And he locked her behind whatever it was called. He was trying to kill her. Let's just keep it what it was.
She was like in her lab or whatever. Like it's like whatever she was in, and try to hit her with the radiation, radiation blast. Yeah, so it's wild.
Yeah, and I mean, like he knew the system. He knew about the fail safes and whatnot. But what he didn't know was the limit of Cortana. And he said, "Well, that's your creator. Do something. Step up." Tested her. Really called. Yeah, he called her bluff. That's the other thing too, because I guess he thought that she had more control. I mean, and let's go back to the end of last episode. He completely fail safed him. So I think he needed to make sure that didn't happen again. And Dr. Halsey not only was seconds away from radiation blast. But Cortana, then who I was kind of teetering around like where would her alliance really fall down to? Did she trust Dr. Halsey? Did she trust John in these situations? She kind of stuck in the middle a little bit. But like, this is where he was able to force both of their hands and essentially get the answers he need. And I think the biggest thing to take from this is Dr. Halsey, although she survived, I think this also was the turn of events when she realized that, well, maybe I do need to start coming truthful about some things. Because
no, she ain't got no conscience. Clearly.
Did you feel that? Did you feel that way at this point, though?
No, because I mean, you're talking about 20 years plus of work. You're not about to change in a day, and her interactions just with Miranda and stuff through the show. If that's her mom, and kind of her just being like a scientist first, and mom just never. You know what I mean? I just never really feel like, if she felt any type of way about it, she would have stopped a long time ago. Even when I didn't catch her name, they were trying to shut down her whole cloning thing, like with the Cortana project, and she just has, like I said, she has no conscience when it comes to these things. So absolutely not, and feel nothing for her.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, I at this moment, you're right. It is a right claim, because at this moment I said, oh, maybe she did have like some type of realization of like, all right, maybe I can't be acting like this because folks going to hold me accountable. And we'll get to it in a second. In terms of what else? Because you're talking about Margaret at this point,
right?
Yeah.
That's Margaret.
Yeah, and the effects of their conversation. Anyway, Maki, a human living with the Covenant, unheard of. That is
blessed one.
Yeah, the blessed one. So there's a lot of interpretations as to who she is. I mean, you have normal troops and, should we say, military civilian workers basically stating the fact of like, this is something we've never heard of before. I've never heard of this through any type of anything.
Don't trust her.
And then there's this whole aspect of interrogation where she's like, well, I only want to speak to Master Chief. And then folks are just like, why him? And then there's the whole idea of what Master Chief are we getting here? And then there's the whole idea that Master Chief has proven himself to hold these type of debriefings and interrogations. So is suitable, but why him? And everybody knows everything is focused on him because of his interaction with the Keystone. So there's a lot of different reservations going on right now about this happening. But the one thing about it is that what I loved about this, and what I really loved about this episode, is that Maki comes off so innocent, such a baby face, and you literally have to truly remember that she is a killer, and she said before she got dropped faced on the ground and said, make it look convincing, and sure as hell she is. I mean, her voice, her demeanor, everything. You can't help but to fall for her in this state of her questioning, is she a prisoner or can she help? And that right there, I love it. I love this because I love the conflict that we're getting from all different types of characters. And I even think viewers may, in short memory spans, may say like, she doesn't seem such a bad person. I mean, but ultimately, what's your impression about, or should I say, her performance right now amongst everybody?
You talk about acting, you know what I mean? Like she's really like, on like, she's doing the innocent routine, the wolf in sheep's clothing, basically, you know what I mean? Because obviously, we know that she's, undercover. She's trying to find out where that other Keystone is. So they can, obviously somehow, some way, she's probably gonna contact the Covenant and they're gonna come back down and come grab that thing. But she really believes, and you can see it on her face, she really believes, like, in her innocence, the story that she's telling. And obviously she's had some type of training to be able to fake them out if to be able to play the Chief like this, to be like, look, we linked. This is both our mission. We both resonate with this Keystone. And like I said, she's gonna say and do whatever she needs to do to find out where they're keeping it. So that she can obviously get out of there at any means possible. I also feel like they put like a tracker on or something like that, because they're doing a lot of medical evaluations on it too. I feel like they do something to either put like a tracker on there or try to figure out if she's lying, because they're checking her vitals and stuff like that throughout the entire episode.
That's true. That's true. And
But yeah,
I mean,
she's selling it. She's selling it for sure.
for sure, absolutely. And and even from like the viewer standpoint, when she starts saying we are the same, so when you hear statements like that, you're like, well, I don't trust her, but I trust Master Chief. So how exactly are you two the same? What don't we know? What other level of suspicion should we have? And then, when you talk about the selling here, like, yeah, when you talk about, having the two, finding both of the stones together will grant you peace. I understand that you've been seeing things since you touched it, and how that could be, and how that not only is detrimental to your health, but like you're going down this rabbit hole of just trauma. But when you find the two of them together, you will have peace. So she's adding motivation to his already search in a way that benefits her in a covenant that we know Master Chief's not gullible, but like this is sort of like almost a catch-22 in a sense, like or double-edged sword, like you need this, you need to do this because you want to understand the secrets and what the two together behind that, what can that achieve in terms of what everybody want them together for futuristic and powerful weapons and whatnot, but also your health.
Yeah, he's acting like a straight junkie, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, man, I need another hit of this, man. And everybody's telling him like, yo, you need to chill. Don't do it. You're gonna die. Like he's going through like withdrawals. Like he need to touch it one more time. I gotta know. I don't care. I got to know. And when he goes back and touches it again, almost see like when he finally gets the information that he needs, like whatever he was going through almost seems to be alleviated. You know what I mean? Like it's gone. Like the pain or whatever he was going through, because both of them stabilize once he finally gets the message that he needs to get. But that's a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, we're on it. We'll talk about it right now. I mean, you're right, because like I think to say they stabilize, but beyond that, we see them on opposite ends of vitals, where he gets more and more information that he wants, so more and more answers to everything he's solving. This is why, like you said, he needed the additional hit, and as he achieved a certain, shall I say, finish line of memories, we see him go beyond that. We start to see more visions now that he had not seen before. So did he essentially achieve everything he was looking for beyond? And did that grant him some bit of peace? Because yeah, he was on that thing, and he definitely was about a tick away from being deceased, it seemed like. But while that's happening, she goes into a seizure, and she's on the ground, and she is completely immobile, which reminds you of opposite times, what makes you think that, is this a neuro sort of sync when they're together, or could they always feel each other? I mean, she's always said she had a connection to it. He's always had a connection to it. Now together, what happens to these connections? And then we see that moment at the end, which we'll talk about. But go ahead.
Right. I'm curious, is like whenever the chief was accessing these memories, was she seeing it too, or did they have to be within a certain range of each other for them? Because obviously in this scene, she was obviously seeing what he was seeing, and they or maybe she was seeing something different on her end. But when she was going through it, and then of course they could both converge until wherever they are at the end of this. So I'm definitely, I'm curious if they're going to explain that next episode, like if she was seeing something different, or like I said, were they sharing the same memories?
Yeah, and we know that the Keystones together is like the power source for the Halo ring. So there's that we know. But the other thing about this is that you start to wonder her questioning about wanting to. I mean, she was super eager in the sense of like, I need to talk to Master Chief. She knew what he was about to do.
Right.
Whether she could feel it or she just mentally knew it, whatever it may be, she knew it was going to happen. The question is, was she trying to prevent him from finding out more of, the memories he was trying to access? Or was she aware that may affect her? Or was she also trying to hide that this also now bridges a connection between the two of them that she knew she wasn't going to be able to prevent? So there was some form of like, what's the word? Discretion that she had in terms of knowing that this was going to happen. Now, some of the conversations she was having with him was truthful. A lot of it was truthful. So if she's willing to surrender that information, that only makes you think, what is it that she's also ultimately trying to hide? And I believe it could be their connection and what that may be. And as we seen when they was looking at their his genetic structure, that they are two and how many 2 million 2 billion whatever it was 2 billion to have the same structure, which is at this point now impossible, but here they are, two people in the same place with the same gene structure.
I was, for whatever reason, I was thinking in my head, I was like, could this possibly be like a sibling of his? Or, because we really don't know anything else about, his childhood other than what they show us, but I highly doubt that his parents would have had another kid and they just dumped her off on some planet, or, it just could be pure coincidence.
Right. I mean, and like we saw her childhood, which is super vague, super rugged.
We got all 10 seconds of it.
Yeah, and it was raw, and it comes from pain and trauma herself. Noting that he wasn't able to access her memories, if that's ever been up for discussion, because he didn't see any of that. She was war written in everything and how she was raised, and his was more civil, besides the whole entering the Spartan program at a young age. But we went back to see all of the things that he had initially seen until we saw the dead test subjects on the table. That's where we started to see beyond that and whatnot. So like it starts to get dark and gritty in his memories, but yet this also, I think, affirms everything he had learned from Halsey earlier. So there's that. But we'll come back to them. On that note, let's talk about Dr. Halsey and Chief's conversation, where she comes completely clean and she says, listen, flash cones, once we put them in the household, they would die. Yes, person in the comments last week waited 1 week and you would have got everything you wanted. But yes, she mutilated tons of folks. Parents grieved over folk that wasn't theirs, and just lies on lies for years. I mean, she said she doesn't believe in family, and she said this was for the sacrifice of some to save many. We've heard that so many times. I mean, but yeah, this brought up not only relief for Master Chief, but also an extra bit of like despise towards her. Like he just was not.
And I mean, realizing at that point, like we're end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like we still got this mission. We're still Spartans. Like regardless of like what she did, like we pissed. But it's no take back on what's already happened. You know what I mean? And just that whole situation with Halsey in general, like where they're trying to stage her. The council pretty much wants her to be the scapegoat. You know what I mean, for this entire situation, and they trying to like set her up, to confess and step down from her position because like again she's already
she ain't no goddamn step down. They fired her ass. They got her ass out of there.
She's already been warned multiple times, but clearly this is heading into a point where they're it's about to get real and they're gonna need her. She about to get reinstated real quick, like what I mean, whatever we got to do, because the Covenant about to get the upper hand in this war, and whatever they got to do, they gonna need Halsey's help in the end and all this. So like I said, they pretty much try to set her up and get her to confess to the Chief. Like that whole thing with like replacing the kids with clones is like messed up. You know what I mean? Like not only you snatching these kids in the middle of the night, but you replacing them with like these fake kids that are designed to die within, because their lifespans aren't that long. They're designed to die within X amount of time. So your parents are grieving for these fake children. That's not actually theirs. I mean, it's technically theirs, but
and brutal deaths too.
Right. So it makes me question why not just use clones, or was the clones just not stable enough to go through the program and the alterations that they needed?
I just don't want to do Star Wars again.
Execute Order 66.
There's no need to do that again. And listen, there's a couple of things I want to touch upon what you said, but like I said, all the records were wiped clean, everything was a lie. Kai, yes, when he affirmed that Kai, like, everything was a lie, he hasn't told the other two, but please note that we are still Spartans, so we must move forward with everything that we know and go. And I think Kai, again, like, she's dealing with a lot. I mean, she barely died. She had a rough recovery in the beginning of this. And now she feels a little bit out of the loop, because even when they were talking about all the weapon enhancements and tech that they got all this information about from Dr. Keyes, in order to, still be ahead of the curve, or at least an even playing field for when the next battle occur, she's just kind of a fly on the wall. Like it's almost her first day at work again. And I think she's feeling a little misplaced. But I also think this is because of what Master Chief said in terms of now that you have these feelings, your judgment is going to be a little off. And I think she's already misjudging the situation. Like, nah, they're not leaving you out. This is just how it is, you know. And you know that's up for determination. However you want to determine how that was, so up for your own determination.
Right, and I think in that scene too, where she was like, "Oh, you know, are you going to tell everybody else?" I think definitely Chief made the right call, because if had he told both of them at once, it definitely would have been a mutiny out there. It definitely would have been a rebellion. You know, that whole, because I don't know how many Spartans they've only shown, what, the 4 or the 5 Spartans. I mean, obviously it's supposed to be like dozens of them, obviously, but like they only shown like those. So, I mean, definitely he didn't want to tell them to pretty much set anything off further than where it needed to go. And you see how kind of Kaz reacted, especially taking out her was it the plate or the whatever it was that controls her emotions or whatever, like that suppresses all that. And it's, you know, for the most part, it's there for a reason. Like you pretty much put yourself in danger and you put your team in danger because, like, you know, you weren't ready for that type of exposure. Yeah. So I'm surprised they didn't just flat out just kill it, have her die on that table at the beginning of the episode. So
yeah, but I mean, she's still a viable soldier, and I mean, like, there's no way they're gonna...
still a super soldier. Yeah,
yeah, but they're not gonna let her die. I mean, Master Chief literally let the other artifact go for saving her. Imagine if they would have let that happen. How much more of a swirl would that have been for Master Chief? So, like,
well, yeah.
I mean, you need her not only bodies for numbers, but like also for his own peace of mind. You know, that's one of his.
Key says that. I mean, he wound up saving like 150 plus. You know, by sacrificing that. You know what I mean? But I mean, you know, but of course, you know, giving the Covenant a weapon, or, you know, they don't understand something, you know, giving them an advantage in this entire war that they have going on right now. So,
but listen, let's not forget Master Chief knowing that, like, if she's able to locate the Keystone, then he said maybe he might be able to. Let's not forget, if he's able to do that, then he knows where the Covenant's at, which also gives them an advantage in terms of strategizing and whatnot. But we'll see where that goes beyond that. But going back to Margaret really quick, and then in conversation with Dr. Halsey, after she does get her to come clean with everything, she did sort of gave her sort of a, let's say, a severance package where she's like, listen, we're going to get you, we want you to stop all your research and whatnot, but we're going to set you up with your new lab and whatnot, and things gonna be good, and don't worry. And it's kind of like, hey, you know, you messed up, all these other things, there's a lot of eyes on all of us. And you know, she basically said that, like, she came clean about everything except for what Margaret's involvement was. So she was kind of like, yeah, I got your back, so make sure you got mine. And then Margaret's like, yeah, no problem, I got your back. Also, yeah, pack up, they about to come get you right now. And that's a wrap. And by the way, your daughter, we went ahead and gave her that promotion. That promotion she was never going to get.
That she should have been got,
right? That you weren't going to give her,
right?
And now Miranda is happy now. But hey, you are now excommunicated out of this. Excommunicado, yeah.
They really trying to play up the morality of, like, everything in this entire war. Like, I feel like a lot of people forgetting that, like, you gonna do what you got to do to win. And I think that's Miranda's entire mindset. Like, look, y'all didn't know what to do till I got here. You know what I mean? I started this, I did this. You know, if it weren't for me, we wouldn't even have a weapon against the Covenant. We'd be getting washed. And you know what I mean? So, you know, they keep trying to pull morality and, like, you know, humanity and rights and a lot of stuff that, and in this entire war, it just really doesn't matter. You know, it's all about who's going to win and how you win, because the Covenant don't give two shits about how they're going to win this war. So I think that's that's going to be the thing that winds up getting backfired on them in the end of all this, is like, you know, what are you willing to sacrifice, like your humanity, or do you want to win? And clearly Halsey is there to make that choice, and that's why she is really pushing to get, you know, the research on this Keystone, because this is going to unlock a lot of potential for them to win this war. But again, when it blows up in their face on one of these episodes, they're gonna realize that they need her. So
I also feel like she's also a liability because she is so obsessed with the research. Halsey is just one that you got to keep close, but
she ain't gonna join the Covenant or nothing, like
not at all. But I mean, you still gotta be, again, she's willing to sacrifice anything and literally whatever it takes to get her research to do what she has to do,
including her family. Clearly.
including her family. And I mean, like right now, I mean, Aiden is definitely aligned with her. He also got the boot, by the way, and we'll talk about 1 second. But like, you got to think that like his obsession also aligns with hers as well too, as he says 30 years of what he's been doing, and and when you think add that plus everything she's been doing, I mean, these folks are not only dedicated, but they're obsessed, and they were willing to sacrifice anything in order to achieve their goal. And there we see Halsey completely manipulate her daughter.
Crocodile tears.
Literally, she can't be trusted to no extent. And she used the retinal scan contact lens to get her daughter's eye or iris in order for authentication of something coming forward, which is just, and like she said, she don't believe in family. Yeah, tears and all that, but it's all BS because she just used her, and it's just crazy. As soon as she said, Aiden, did you get that? And he came around, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, took the contact of the eye, the little tear drops. Like,
just ridiculous, man. Just ridiculous. So,
but yeah, he's just a whole, he's loyal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that. 30 years the AI crack your firewall.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks.
Yeah, Cortana let her know, like, you're not that good. But anyway, but Cortana did find her way back to her, so Catherine. Right. So you know, we'll see how that plays a part now, because Master Chief don't trust her. She needs her. We'll see where Cortana's morals is aligned, and does she get caught in any of this? Because apparently she was supposed to be what they say, black boxed or whatever, and if she's acting freely and somebody can eventually find out, we'll see where that may play a part in going forward. But also the same different thing too is that, well, we also know that Chief was also at some point very dismissive of her, but he also had solicited her help at a point, and I think that she knows that that's what her job is. I think she may try to prove herself worthy at some point again to him, and that could be interesting. So, you know, we will see.
Right.
So anyway, we talked about the gene structure, which is the same. 2 billion, 2 in a billion having the same gene structure. And when Halsey and her computer was able to align their vitals together, we seen again that's what they were sync.
Right.
And what does that mean going forward? With him testing the limits now that, you know, Dr. Keys says, I done broke every rule possible on my first day and don't die, and he completely goes and beyond, and we are talking about all the memories and stuff he's seen, you know, and he's going through this no matter what it is. Like, he is just beyond everything, and that's where we get this final scene where the two of them are now potentially unconscious or in some type of subconscious, where they're on a halo ring, which kind of makes sense, but now it starts to determine what is their actual connection, not only to the artifacts, but to one another. Right. And how did they get what they were, where they were, and where they were was some form of a dream itself. But they've been seeing dreams of the past and memories of the past. This is something of what? The future? And questions. Also, I gotta say one other thing too. Earlier in the episode, when they were going through the interrogation room between Master Chief and Halsey. Halsey, the futuristic double-sided mirror method of everybody when she was laying it all out and everybody was in the room beyond and was watching within it. That's some scary tech. That's some Black Mirror tech to the utmost right there. But I was like, wait, are they in the room or they not in the room? And I was like, oh, okay, they're in the room outside of the room, but instead of them actually
clearly knew they were there though. She clearly, I mean, she kept like giving like she kept like looking like around, like she knew they were there. She knew somebody was looking.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's an interrogation room, so like I think it's just what we expect for the double-sided mirror of, we know somebody's beyond the mirror, but instead they're just in the room as like projections of sorts. So, and they could either be incognito or not. So, but ultimately,
so noticing that scene too, like Miranda kind of just steps in and is witnessing that whole scene, and like when they done and Halsey admits all that stuff, she kind of looks at her dad like, yo, you was involved in this, like like Like, and she just kind of didn't say nothing to him. Like, walks out the room, didn't say, and just continued on her job. Like, okay, time to work.
Completely disappointed.
Right.
Completely disappointed. It's not even a question. He's completely disappointed, and I think that
because Miranda is not doing this on her own. She has authorization, from military or whatever to do these things. Like, this is not like she personally doing this. You know what I mean? Or they got a black site. This has been authorized. It's just kind of off the books. So nobody wants to question how the Spartan program works. They just want it to work.
Exactly. What's your thoughts about the ending scene now? And it's whatever you want to call it, dream sequence. What?
Yeah, finally, get to see this Halo ring. Get to see what the show's all about, right? I really liked how it looked visually. You can see like the rings, like the little corner of the rings and stuff like that. And how they're like standing on the thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe they were just I don't want to say astral projecting themselves to the ring, but I thought that was really well done, and it looked good. People gonna complain about it anyway. Oh, they didn't do it right. Shut up. Like, it looks good. So I don't know if this is like them seeing themselves like potentially in the future, or them just wherever the ring is in space, them just finally getting the coordinates and everything for that before we get into this all-out war for the battle control for the ring.
Yeah. The thing is, we know that Maki can locate where the other one's at by touching one of the rings.
Right.
Master Chief doesn't realize he can do that. So her touching it, he knows that if she touches the one that's in their possession, that she can locate the other one. But if he's able to, he realizes that she's able to do that, and he's able to do that, which helped him find the Covenant. Now the question is, the two of them together with him touching it, does that then now locate what it powers, the Halo ring? So it's just these sort of different things that we don't really know in terms of the combination of different possibilities here. What happens when she touch it and he doesn't touch it? What happens when they both touch it? What happens when they got all of them together? Like, there's so many different things that they can explore here that I don't know in specific the lore and how it pertains to this, but I know for show purposes it's super intriguing, and you want to see where this goes next. And don't forget, she's still a bad person, because she was definitely ready to finger blade.
I was gonna say she definitely pulled out the little plasma knife, like little plasma pinky. So she about to take check out. I'm surprised she didn't see that. Like, I guess she went to a seizure before they really got into it. But
that's the other question: did they see that?
They got cameras in the room.
And what does that mean? And if she's able to have skill, what can Chief do? It's all these things that they're going to question, and they've already been suspicious of her, and I don't think any of this helps her claim. And they're going to definitely black. All right, so now not only did you just randomly get here as a human that was with the Covenant that no one's ever heard of, now you have a connection to this extent that vitals are online. Okay, we got more questions for you, but folks, for all the good and for all the bad, jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about episode.
We already know.
Please like this video if you enjoyed our commentary. Please like this video if you are looking forward to our next review recap. Please do not dislike this video because you did not like the episode, because that is not our fault. Let us like it, let the fans like it, and let us keep doing what we do best. And we'll be back here each and every week with your review recap of each Halo episode. Terrell and Nigeria, we out of here. We'll see y'all back next week.
See you.